Hey guys! In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 super fun and easy DIY projects that you can do with polymer clay, from accessories to home decor. The first DIY idea is this cute origami necklace. Begin by evenly rolling out some polymer clay. You can use 2 popsicles on each side to make sure that the height is the same everywhere. Next, take a toothpick and start drawing the outline of any origami shape you like, and also in any size you want. Of course, you can also create a template using paper, but I just went ahead and winged it. I decided to create a bird, so I looked up an origami bird in Google and then copied the shape of it and also carved in the folded lines to make it as realistic as possible. Once you're happy with the design, cut out the shape using an Xacto knife. And now you can carefully add an eye pin to the clay. Make sure you add it right in the center of the clay so the pin doesn't poke through the clay or anything like that. Next, you want to go over the clay again to make sure that the edges and the lines are straight and that you're happy with the design before you can bake the charm. If you see any dust on the clay, you can use some rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip to remove it. When you're happy with everything, it's time to bake the clay. Once the clay has hardened and cooled down, you can move on to painting the charm. I decided to go for a pastel and gold color, so I took a flat brush and colored every section one by one using acrylic paint. And to make the charm look more fancy, I also decided to paint the edges with gold acrylic paint as well. Now let everything dry and then we can attach a necklace to the charm. But before we can do that, we need to glue the eye pin to the clay. I used super glue to attach it, but you can use any other strong glue you have. And now we can add the charm to the necklace. I used an old necklace I haven't worn in ages, that's why I decided I would just remove one of the beads from it and attach my new origami necklace to it. And this is how it looks. Super cute and super customizable as well. Now, if you don't want to make any accessories with clay, you can also create home decor pieces in a super easy way. The first idea you might already know because it's so popular, and the idea is to create this beautiful moon phase wall decor. Again, start by evenly rolling out some clay, and then use a cookie cutter to cut out a few circles, and then use the same cookie cutter to cut out a little bit of the clay to get one of the faces. I also used a bigger cookie cutter and did the same to create a big moon for the center. I didn't want to create every face, so I focused on a few and also created 2 stars because it's really up to you how you want to create this wall decor. You can even add any other shape to make it look cute. I decided to place 1 full moon to the edges and then add a star and then 3 other moons in the middle like that. Next, we need to create holes in the clay so we can actually hang it up later. So I used eye pins and other pins I had and poked the pins through the whole piece of clay so I can pull a thread through the hole later. Or I just used eye pins and added them to the end parts like the full moon and the moon in the middle, but for some reason my head was in the clouds, that's why I forgot to create a few more holes I needed, but I will fix that later and show you how. Remove any dust if necessary, make sure you're happy with the shapes and everything, and then it's time to bake the clay. Once the clay has hardened and cooled down, we can move on and paint the charms. I used gold acrylic paint again and applied it using a sponge. I first used a brush, but as you can see, the result isn't that interesting. I mean, you can do it this way, but the texture of the paint looks so much better and more interesting when you use a sponge. Just dab on the paint and let it dry the way it is, and then when the paint has dried, you have a really pretty golden texture on the charms. And since I told you I made some mistakes with the holes in the beginning, I had to attach some pins with additional clay on top and then bake and paint everything again. I just didn't want to waste the material I already used, so I hoped it will work this way, and it did. And once the charms are all ready, it's time to add the string. Here I'm using this clear string, and before pulling the string through the charms, I made a knot first and then added the charm on top so it can sit on the knot without sliding down. And then I kept some space, made a knot again, and then pulled the string through another charm. I did the same on the top and bottom part of the hanging decor and then attached both sides to the moon in the center. Attach some string to the upper part of the hanging decor so you can actually hang it up and you're done. Super easy and fun to make, and it makes the room so much more beautiful. And if you have cute small plants that you want to display in a cute way, this hanging shelf is also a great DIY you can do with clay. Begin by rolling out some clay again and make sure that it's even and not too thin. Next, you want to cut off the sides of the clay to create straight edges on the top and bottom part. The width I was going for was about 5 or 6 centimeters. You don't want to make it too wide and not too small either. And then you can cut off the edges on the left and right side into a triangle shape. If you want, you can also add some texture to the clay. I used a belt for that and carefully rolled it over the clay. If you want to add texture, I would recommend to do that before you cut out the shape for the shelf, or otherwise the clay might end up being too thin. Next, you want to create a hole on both sides so we can attach a string later to the shelf. Make sure you are happy with the design, that the clay and the edges are even, and then place it into a bowl to create the shelf. We want to have a flat bottom and the left and right side of the shelf looking upwards. And now it's time to bake the clay inside the bowl. And this is how it looks after baking everything. If you want, you can also paint the clay. I wanted to keep it simple, so I used white acrylic paint for the top and bottom part of the clay, and then I used a gold acrylic paint for the edges. Once everything is dried, you can attach a cord to the shelf. Decide how long you want to make the cord and then pull the ends through the holes from the outside so you have the knots looking to the inside. And that's it. Super easy to make but so cute. And if you want to know what other awesome DIYs you can make with clay, I have a whole playlist about DIYs with clay that you can check out right here. I hope you liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up to support this channel. It will mean a lot to me. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe for more arts and crafts related videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye!